So last weekend, I went to see Devil Wears Prada 2, and I have some thoughts because apparently Emily, Emily Blunt's character, the one who was assistant number one, the gatekeeper, the one running around in Chanel doing Miranda's bidding, is now a high level executive at Dior. She made it. Full arc. Assistant to the top. And honestly, my first reaction was, I love that for her. But my second reaction was, this is so not how it works. Not even close. And that tension is exactly what I want to talk to you about today. Let me take you back to 2006. I had just watched the first Devil Wears Prada and I was completely obsessed. This was before Instagram. The movie came out a year before the first iPhone came out. So we were still in the Blackberry era. And back then, if you had a Blackberry, that was a bit of a status thing because that meant you were important, people needed you. And yeah, that was the culture. You show up, you dress the part, you read the room, you become indispensable. And a few years later, I was about to start my first corporate role as an executive assistant at BT Networks. My dream was actually to work at MTV back when MTV was cool, but BT was close enough. Same building, actually. I wasn't exactly burning with ambition back then. I was just genuinely happy to have a job at a real company, learning the ropes. And that movie really inspired me. It was the fashion, the aspiration, New York City, working adjacent to power, being the person who just gets it before anyone has to say a word. That level of competence, that level of mastery, yeah, to me, it just checked every box. But here's the thing, that last part, that's real. The best assistants are exceptional at reading the room, anticipating needs, managing up, knowing when to push back, and how to do it without being labeled difficult, even though your entire job title basically has the word helpful baked into it. Handling egos, the competing priorities, the thing nobody says out loud, that's an art form. It's a genuinely sophisticated skill set, but it just doesn't come with a straight ladder. And yeah, here's where Hollywood gets it wrong. Most corporate roles have a clear progression. You start as an associate, then you move up to manager, then director, then VP. There is a path. For an executive assistant role, that really, it just doesn't work like that. And the cruel irony is that the better you are at the job, the more stuck you can become because why would your leader ever want to let you go? Is it possible to move out of the EA track? Yes, I've seen it, I've tried it, but I'd be lying if I said competence was the main factor. Luck had a lot to do with it. Knowing the right person who actually wanted to give you a shot, and that's not always an EA can engineer, no matter how excellent she is. There is also the reality that for a lot of women, the EA role becomes a career, not a stepping stone. And honestly, that is not a failure. You're paid well, you're close to power, you've seen everything, you know how organizations actually work. At some point, leaving that for a new role with a steep learning curve and more uncertainty isn't weakness, it's just the real calculation. And sometimes looking from the outside, looking at my executives' back to back calendars and the nonstop travel schedules, I would think, why would anyone want that? To me, the real luxury isn't chasing promotions, chasing a title, it's time. It's a calendar with breathing room, a slow morning with your coffee, etc. So, what did Devil Wears Prada get right and what did it stretch? It actually kept it more real in some ways. The layoffs felt true, especially post pandemic. The era of the 30-year company man is basically over. And the movie at least acknowledges that so many industries like the media and the fashion industries are contracting, budgets are shrinking, and the pressure to quote unquote optimize is everywhere. Speaking of which, the consultants, if you ever sat in a room with strategy consultants brought in to trim the fat, you will recognize that scene. Operational efficiency, stakeholder alignment, streamlining editorial, unlocking value, change management. I mean, I don't even remember the exact buzzwords from the film, but you know the energy. It's a specific kind of corporate theater, and they nail it. They also touched on AI replacing jobs. Big consultant firms are cutting junior hiring. Agents are handling end to end audit work with almost no humans in the loop. And look, the efficiency case is obvious, but here's what I keep thinking about. It's all that repetitive work, the vouching, the tie outs, the sample selection. That's how people learn to actually read a file. You do not develop judgment by skipping the boring parts. You develop it by doing them 1,000 times until the patterns click. That's true in audit, that's true in an EA role too. We are optimizing away the exact work that used to teach people how to think. All right, the parts that didn't hold up, the travel scene of Miranda running to Europe in coach class was hilarious, great for drama and comedy, but yeah, no. At a real corporation, executives, especially at that level, typically fly on business class, and the EAs typically are not on the plane. Another funny part was when Miranda's EA had to essentially babysit her, like keep her out of trouble with HR. There's a part where Miranda now has to hang hang her own coat because throwing it into her assistant's desk is no it's no longer appropriate. And again, I understand we needed the drama, but honestly that wouldn't have flown in 2006 either, with HR at least. Another part that I thought it was cool was when um Nigel, he's still being passed over, still not saying what he actually wants. And that hit because even with experience, even at the senior level, even after everything, we're still so afraid to tell the boss the truth. That dynamic doesn't go away just because you get a better title. So, yeah, Devil Wears Prada has a very special place in my heart. I grew up with these characters. It's genuinely interesting to see where they landed, even if the script takes some liberties. Yes, Emily going from assistant to Dior executive is a stretch, a big one. But the movie still captures something real about ambition, about the cost of working for difficult people, and what we tell ourselves to keep going. And just to be clear, when I say it's a stretch, is because in a corporation, coming from the right background, the right university, the right context, that path is pretty straightforward. You just have to show up and do the work without taking away their effort, their competence. But what I'm trying to say is that for executive assistant, crossing that line into a career that has more of a focus, it can be a lot harder than it looks. So Hollywood lied to us a little, but it wasn't a complete lie, and maybe that's enough. If you like this, please subscribe to the pod at the Inner Designer Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And please share your comments and see you next week for more.